Hi ladies and gentlemen, I have a message for you before we get into the information. It'll only take a moment, and that is, what is our response going to be to pedophilia? And we know that it's rampant, especially in different areas of government and places of authority where they can cover it up. We need participation more than anything else. That's what's really going to count. And so what I have here is Navy SEAL Craig Sawyer's website. It's called vetsforchildrescue.org. Also, we have here opdeepstate.com. If you'll visit those two sites and see what you can do to help, you don't need to spend a lot of time. We just need a lot of people to be involved for short times. Just little things that you can do. Please check those out. Thank you. I'm Roy Potter, a former U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel. Welcome to the Potter Expositor. Hi ladies and gentlemen, it's April 28th, 2017. When I'm recording this, I'm not sure when I'll get it up. A lot of things happening on the international scene. The North Korea thing could probably have been handled in a lot better situation, but I'm not going to talk about that here, other than to say that North Korea is basically a third world country. It can't even deliver its nuclear weapons, not by missile anyway. It'd have to be done by other means. They have said that there's a possibility, not the North Koreans, but analysts, that North Korea might have some EMP weapons on space platforms, one or two of them, since they do have a couple of satellites up there. But the real danger from North Korea, as far as I'm concerned, is special forces units getting into South Korea, Japan, Australia, and the United States. I think that's where the real dangers are. But at any rate, I don't want to really get into that too much. And then of course there's the problem in Syria. We know that the gas attack was not done by Assad, and Trump ought to just come out and admit that, but he's put himself in a bad situation by doing this, and I've already called that out on several videos that I've done. So what I really want to talk about is something that's happening here in our country about how they're treating American citizens. And of course the Bundy Ranch first round of trials have just occurred, and they convicted two guys, one of which was an FBI informant. That tells me there's some showmanship going on here, but at any rate, the rest of the defendants at this point, it was a mistrial, so they're going to have to redo it. But I do want to talk about that it's wrong for the federal government to especially the courts, to not be a referee, but to try to bend the information towards the prosecution or the defense. In this case, towards the prosecution, by not allowing defense witnesses, and they use all kinds of excuses. Prior information, saying that, well, this didn't happen. They're trying to focus just on the corral and the wash on the last day of the standoff, when the standoff occurred, when the cattle were finally released. They're trying to hold it there and trying to say that that's a single criminal episode and has nothing to do with anything that happened before that. And that's just not true, ladies and gentlemen. And the defense attorneys need to get their shit together and approach that in the correct manner. But at any rate, so that's what's occurring, and I wanted to show you a few pictures of how the Bundys compare to other demonstrations and protesters. I don't include Black Lives Matter here. I don't include communists per se, and those really violent folks, other than Antifa, because that's kind of in your memory banks right now. So let me show you the difference between these different demonstrators. Alright, so here I'd like to show you some comparisons. The first we have, of course, are the Bundy demonstrators. This is what you're dealing with there. Alright, hopefully I'm out of the way here so you can get a good idea of what this is. And by comparison here, Antifa. I could have put Black Lives Matter in here. I could put communists. You get the idea. It's the same type of situation. Now here's some more Bundy demonstrators and some more Antifa demonstrators. The Bundy demonstrators look like Americana. They're for the Constitution. They've got the flag. They're demanding equal protection under the law. They're demanding constitutional restrictions on the federal government, and all about these issues. There was nothing violent there, okay? So I wanted to show you that to let you see what the draw was of the type of people that we had. Yes, there were a few criminals that showed up in demonstrations. You always have that problem, violent people that want to escalate it. I don't know who they were other than the Millers, who were there and asked to leave. And if you remember the Millers, they went and shot a police officer in Las Vegas, I don't know, a few weeks later or whatever, I don't remember the dates. But they, to show you how serious this was, and the people there at the demonstration knew of the possibility that there would be these types of people showing up, the Millers were confronted and told to leave. They weren't permitted to stay. So this was a self-policing situation, unlike the federal government that never polices itself, and we'll talk about that some more. But I wanted to give you these differences in the types of demonstrations and the caliber and personality of the people involved. So let's take a look at the rest of this. Okay, I think that's pretty obvious. Real Americana, people that are going for the Constitution for peaceful demonstration, and the opposite, the Antifa. I don't hear Harry Reid and all these guys calling out the violence of the Antifas. Do you? I don't. But they want to call good American people who are trying to stand up for their land rights that are generations long and protect a group of people from being attacked by the federal government without observation and without witnesses. And then finally, of course, the situation where they were led into this whole deal, really, at the corrals. This was a setup, as I said in the video down below where we talk about, and I think I'm finding out now that Sheriff Gillespie may not have really understood what was going on there all the way, but he was definitely set up, and or helped to set it up knowingly or unknowingly. And they were planning on having a really bad deal happen there at the corrals. The government was. The federal government in particular, the BLM. And that's just wrong. This was something similar to what I've seen in my professional relationships with the feds. And it's just wrong. But at any rate, so I'm glad you were able to watch this with us today and to think about it. Please review those links below. They'll take some time, but it'll really help you to understand the full process here. Again, I want to point out that what happened at the wash on the last day of the standoff on April 12th was not a criminal episode that you can separate from all of the other events that had transpired before that. And I think that you'll see this. And it's wrong for the federal government to try to do that. As a matter of fact, it's criminal in my judgment. Thank you very much.